So today we will talk about 18 FT 704 and we will talk about garment testing, performance and sustainability. In Unit 5, we have already covered the global regulatory testing requirements on harmful substances in apparel and textiles. And in lesson 1, we have covered the regulation associated with US and its states. Lesson 2, we have covered OCOTEX, GOTS and so also the REACH regulations for Europe. And in lesson 3, we will cover the regulations of different other countries which are very important also. Regulations of China, Korea, Japan, Vietnam, Taiwan and finally India on the harmful substances. Now, harmful substances, we are talking about the apparel which are used in the apparel in different forms or in the textiles, and those regulations vary from country to country, and there is difference in regulations of harmful substances in Europe, US and also different other countries. So what are those differences? What are the regulations associated on harmful products for countries like China, Korea, Japan, Vietnam, Taiwan and India? That we will see in lesson 3. This is very important because we have to understand these regulations, because when a product is getting manufactured and going into these countries, so those kind of regulations we need to follow. So that's why proper understanding of harmful substances regulations are important for other countries also. Let us see, starting with China. China, there is one testing or national standard, we can call it as GB standard 18401-2010. This is the GAPEO or China national standard. Now what is there in that? Most influential mandatory standard for textile products in China, this GB 18401. This is very important to understand because these regulations is different from US or Europe regulations. Now what are the principal requirements? Test methods, test rules. So those are the things we will cover under this GB 18401. Now mandatory tests and requirements. What are those? Number 1 is the formaldehyde content. How much formaldehyde is there in the end product? pH value of the product is very important. So it must be neutral or nearing to neutral, mandatory requirements. This also covered the color fastness tests. Color fastness to water, perspirations, in perspiration acid and alkaline method of perspiration, and also color fastness to rubbing is covered under this GB 18401 China national standard. It also covers the azodyes, that the banned amines under these azodyes are covered under this. So these are the mandatory tests and requirements under this GB 18401 category. Now color fastness to saliva also is under this coverage on baby products. So this is also covered under these regulations. Determination of odor, that what is the smell of the product, that is also very important. Okay, so that smell is also getting subjectively evaluated. 3 assessors will evaluate the odor and they will give some rating to it. So that is also covered under this China national standard. So these are the different requirement standards. Now different important points of GB 18401. The textile apparel is covered. Okay, decorations are covered under this category. Household textile products are also covered under this category. Now important different other points that it does not cover what? It does not cover the umbrellas, does not cover the shoes or suitcase or backpacks. So their GB standard is not applicable. It is not applicable for carpets also. So these are the important informations of GB 18401. Now there are other aspects like textile products for infants, okay. So that must be labeled there under this GB 18401 category. Now very important thing is the penalty. If there is any non-compliant goods entered into this China market, so there is a penalty to be imposed on it. So that will prohibit in manufacturing and sale of that product, confiscate the non-compliant products. So those are the different areas of concern of non-compliant products, and huge penalty is involved into this. Now this penalty in the form of imposing a fine up to 3 times value of the non-compliant product, that has to be borne by the manufacturing company. Now confiscate the proceeds of non-compliant products. So there are many other areas which are covered under this category. Revoke the business license for serious offences, that is also covered under these non-compliant products. Impose criminal liability, very important, if commit to crime. So that is a crime kind of thing. Criminal law is imposed on that if non-compliant product is there. Now let us see Korea certification. So different certification systems are there in Korea. New national unified mark is there. Legally compulsory certification system, that is also covered under these Korea certifications. Now let us see the overview of this KC mark system. So Korea, there is a KC mark system to protect public health and safety. So health and safety is very important in this KC mark system applicable in Korea. Let us see a little bit of about this KC mark system. What are the things covered under this? Safety of the product, health issues, environmental issues. So those things are covered under this KC mark system. It also covers the quality, interestingly. That KC mark system also talks about the quality. So health, safety and environment, in addition to that, quality also is added to it. Now benefits. What are the benefits for consumers and companies? Saves time, it saves cost and eliminates redundant procedures. So those are the benefits of consumers and different companies for KC mark system. Now what are the impacts of KC mark? Korean textile and garment industry. This is a Self-Regulatory Safety Confirmation Act is there. Then Safety Quality Mark Act is also there under this category. So this is the KC mark as has been shown here in this slide. Now when you are talking about Self-Regulatory Safety Confirmation Act, that covers the authorized testing, inspection activities of that particular organizations. So those are covered under the KC mark system. Now Self-Regulatory Safety Confirmation Act covers the items like infant goods, accessories for children, sports goods, life jackets. So those are the areas covered under this Self-Regulatory Safety Confirmation Act. Now Safety Quality Mark Act, what is that? This covers the products meet the corresponding safety requirements under this act. So there must be some safety requirements of that product. So it must meet that standard of that. Then only the quality mark will be given from the KC. Now safety quality mark covered the textile products with skin contact, carpet, leather products. So those are the areas covered under this Quality Mark Act, Safety Quality Mark Act of Korea. So these are the elements. Textile products are there with skin contact, carpets and also the different leather products. which can be certified under this category. Now let us see the Japanese regulations. What are the regulations available in Japan? No toxic aromatic amines should be present in the product as per the Japanese regulations. So products should not contain the aromatic amines. Now Japanese regulation also talks about no toxicity in the chemicals. So these are the different structure of the amines which have been shown here under Japanese regulations. The Japanese regulations also talks about the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare. It is controlled by that particular ministry, MHLW ministry in Japan. So any kind of health and safety issues are controlled by the government. Now Japanese regulations covered the Act on Control of Household Products containing the harmful substances also. So different household products are also covered under this category of Japanese regulations. Now in Japan, these are all treated as voluntary standards. Non-use of harmful substances for textile and clothing. So voluntary standards are available in Japanese regulations. Now let us see the Japanese regulations in more details. It reduces the possible toxic substances in the product when this regulation is applied. Improve the quality of the final product, that is also coming under this Japanese regulations. Let us see the regulations of Vietnam. Content limit of formaldehyde is prescribed there. Azo dyes are also covered under this category of these Vietnam regulations. Regulations of Vietnam, it talks about the custom clearance requirements, is very vital for these Vietnam products. And regulations of Taiwan, if we see, there is one agency called BSMI has regulated hazardous substances. So BSMI is controlling these hazardous substances in Taiwan. Now regulations of Taiwan, when we are talking, BSMI talks about Taiwan Bureau of Standards, Metrology and Inspection, the full form of BSMI. So BSMI logo is shown here. Regulations of Taiwan covered the garments, apparels, clothing, accessories, etc. So everywhere these regulations are applied in Taiwan. Regulations of Taiwan talks about hosiery, underwear, towels, etc. Now regulations of Taiwan talks about sweaters, swimmers, bedding, etc. also. So wide range of products are covered under these Taiwan regulations. Market sampling and inspection is a part and parcel of these regulations under this Taiwan agency, BSMI. Let us see now what are the different regulations available in India. Now as per the government, that there is one Environment Protection Act is there. According to that act, the product should not contain any of the hazardous dyes. Those are harmful azo dyes. So those things should not be present in the final product. So that is the main regulations in India. Now apart from that, in Indian regulations also talks about the compliance to the azo requirement. So azo dyes should not be present into that. Pre-shipment inspection certificate, this is also mandatory under these regulations of India. Pre-shipment inspection. So this is the unique of Indian system of controlling the harmful substances. Now mandatory testing parameters which are covered under this is the fiber compositions under this Indian Act. Azo dyes also is one of them covered under this category. So mandatory testing requirement as per the regulations of India covered fiber and azo dyes. It also covers the testing testing should be done in Indian laboratory as per the Indian conditions, Environmental Protection Act, and Indian laboratories must be used for that purpose. So, in the summary, we can say that global regulatory requirements of different harmful chemicals talks about China regulations, we talked about Japanese regulations, we talked about the Korean regulations, we talked about the regulations in Taiwan, we have talked about regulations in Vietnam, and also we have also focused on regulations in India. Now it is very, very important to understand these regulations when we will do business with those countries. Like in India, suppose any goods which are coming from different other countries, so they must follow the Indian rules, or in vice versa, when India is exporting some goods to China, so it must satisfy the regulations in that country where it is getting sold, that is China. So that's why all these regulations are of vital importance in this category. Now, China regulation or the national standard is very important because many of the goods from US, Europe and other countries, they are getting exported in China. So one must satisfy that China national standard for that purpose. Similarly, the Japanese regulations or Korean regulations, they are having their unique features. So it should satisfy those kind of regulations or act which are available there, and so also this is applied for Taiwan and also for Vietnam. And India also, of course, they are having few restrictions only now, but regulations are very clear and stringent. So one must follow this regulatory requirements when you are working in that area. And basic purpose again for all these regulatory requirements which are requirements globally accepted is that is the first of all the consumer safety, consumer health, and finally the environment is taking into account. To protect all these things, some global regulations are there in different countries in the world, starting from US, Europe and other countries. So we must follow these regulations or respect those regulations and implement those regulations in those countries. Then only the business will be smooth and profitable and repeat orders will be there. So that is from the business perspective. So these are the different Indian and other provinces and different parts of the world, what are the regulations, regulatory requirements of different harmful substances which are available there. So thank you very much for listening to this Unit 5 and Lesson 3. Thank you.